Hey guys, Red here, welcome to another video. Today I'm once again on the test server to showcase a new mech and weapon. Both of these items will be released tomorrow, so tune in and let's get into the review. First off, we got Blizzfrost. Blizzfrost, or Frost for short, I have no idea what the name is so long, is a legendary scout that can freeze enemies in place with its ability called Icy Grip. Once the ability is activated, Blizzfrost freezes enemies within its radius, dealing damage and making foes unable to use movement-based abilities like dashes or jumps. Frozen enemy mechs can still shoot at you or use other types of abilities, so don't expect to be free from a fight just yet. But Blizzfrost still has one more trick on its sleeve. While the ability is active, Frost gets a 50% damage reduction, an immunity to stasis and a 20% speed boost, so you can still engage in close quarter fights with resistance or make a quick retreat if necessary without being slowed down. Also, the more enemies you manage to freeze, the more resistance you will be able to build up. You can only stack up your resistance to a max of 75%, which is still enough to make Frost very tanky. Personally, I think this mech can be very useful at ground control, while being as fast as most of the other scout mechs, but still needs to be played with caution since it can be very fragile when it's out of its ability. Now, moving on to the next weapon, Burrow Beam. The Burrow Beam is a new legendary beam weapon. Duh. So, the Burrow Beam fires all its mag in a quick burst, similar to how the Stormwreck works, so it won't stop shooting unless you try to reload it. Also, as mentioned in the devlog, the Burrow Beam can pass through mechs and mods. Yes, mods. It can pierce through your shield layers and hit the mech's hull directly, and this is a very big deal. So let me get this clear. It's a beam weapon with a very high DPS and short reload that can basically ignore mods. Yeah, I think this will definitely be one of the most meta creeps items in a while. But the Burrow Beam only has a max range of 80 meters, so you need to engage in mid-range fights to maximize the weapon's potential. But I still think it'll be very strong nevertheless. Well, for these weapon implants, you can increase its damage, magazine size, fire rate and the reload speed. I think you can skip the reload speed because there's only an epic and the weapon's base reload speed is already very short, so meh. Well, there's nothing much to say. This is basically a portable Death Star you can carry around and melt everything in front of you. Also, before we get into some gameplay, I want to remind you that there will be a new Onslaught event featuring the new mech, and you'll be able to test it out through the levels for free, and you'll be able to get a very interesting reward at the end of it. Anyways, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps a lot. Happy holidays!